Okay, so some explanations are in order, right? There's been there's been a lot of changes. What the? Hey, shut up! That'll be a great intro. So there's been a lot of changes, both
Yeah.
to the channel and to my personal life. I mentioned it briefly to all of you on the Discord that I lost my apartment, and that's why I haven't been able to do the daily streams the same way that I was before. I've been trying really hard though. Even with my crazy work schedule, things have been super insane. And I haven't filled in Homeboys on it either. So this is a two for one. Um, Shout out to Ivan.
Mhm.
He's being buried with finals work right now, so unfortunately he couldn't join
Rest
us.
in peace. Fuck school.
Exactly. But hey, we're almost at 1,000 subs, so pretty soon it really will be fuck school. Once we hit that mark,
Fat.
we'll be finally able to monetize videos, which has been a dream of ours. Um,
Help us get out of the school.
yeah, no, please, because holy shit, our lives are miserable.
We poor. You know, it'd be what it'd be.
Yeah, be would be. Um, I
Eating.
guess you can consider this kind of video more of like a podcast, right? So we'll figure out
True.
visuals. Maybe I'll just get lazy and find some sort of photo I could post up. But it's story time. Maybe you can even consider this the return of Afro Stories. If you haven't
Yeah,
seen,
you know what that means?
yeah,
Get your popcorn, get your snack.
yes, no, okay. So Brandon, you want to break down how Afro Stories usually goes, since every one of these viewers are new?
I don't even think I know.
Damn. Basically, it's Afro Stories are just stories
Just
of my life.
story, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
just
yeah.
stories about my life, whatever I
Okay,
think of
yeah.
telling people. And they're always really fucking crazy.
I don't know why, but I thought it was gonna be more. I was like, it is about his life.
Yeah,
But I thought it was gonna be something more.
nah. And as far as the name goes, right, to give more backstory to you guys, Afro Stories is a name that was inspired by a Naruto content creator here on YouTube. His name is Afro
Oh,
Senju,
really?
and
I thought you
Afro
got it from.
Senju is really, you have to go check him out if you like Naruto content. He does a lot of other stuff too, but for I think 3 years he had a series called Senju Tales about his personal life. So it's sort of a rip off of his title. I would definitely recommend his videos to you all. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. But
I thought you were gonna say you got the name from Afro Samurai.
no, everyone says that and it's fucking corny and cliche and predictable. And it's been 9 years and I'm way beyond sick of hearing that shit. So consider this the official return of Afro Stories, right? We're working on animations to bring it back in full force.
Hell
But
yeah, hell yeah.
to explain what happened, right? We got to go back a long ways, right? We have to go back to the beginning of this
Mhm.
year. And I met a man, and I'm going to use his real name because I just don't give a fuck, right? I met a
Fuck him
guy
up, fuck him up.
I had met a guy by the name of Joseph Johnson. We were cool. We spoke for about a year, maybe. And we were both trying to move, right? Because he had a crazy ex that he was tired of living with. And I was trying to just get out of my house as well. So we end up trying to find some places. We end up losing a couple like opportunities or not being able to qualify, but eventually we find one, right? And specifically I had
Mhm.
found one that was really nice. um it met his space requirements, and even more so than that, I was thinking ahead and I was like, yo, you're gonna want to be doing the Bitcoin mining and stuff, because that's gonna be 24/7 thing. We're gonna need a lot of electricity, so I had the foresight of looking into places that came with free electricity, water, and it came with all utilities free. It was amazing.
Shit.
Yeah, and so rent was only 1,300 a month, and it was decently spacious. It had both a regular closet and a full walk-in closet, which is big enough for a lot of shit. Not big enough for like, you know, you to chill and make like a whole little office space out of, but
Mhm.
it had a lot of room. Kitchen was nice. The sink, even the sink had one of those like, it you can actually pull on the faucet head and extend it just like the sinks that you would at a restaurant, and it even had a spray nozzle at the click of a button, so you can switch between regular water and like spraying like a, you know, it was awesome.
Mhm.
I loved it, and things were really gross when I moved in. He had been there by himself for 2 months, and it was fucking disgusting. And to give backstory too, I had also bought a fridge. I didn't have a lot of money. I was dealing with a really big financial issue, which I'll talk about in some other time, maybe. That's a really long and other crazy story, but
Bro,
basically
you could write a whole book.
I could, and I tell people this a lot. I could pick just 1 year out of my life and make a whole book on that 1 year.
Damn, you can make 20 books. 21 books.
So, right, to essentially, I was working my ass off at the restaurant. I was really poor, and the
Mhm.
restaurant is 12 miles away from my home. So, since all of you guys are European, that's 19 kilometers away from home. And I would walk 19 kilometers every day to get there because I couldn't afford the bus anymore. And I was basically broke because I was dealing with this thing with a gang and they needed some money. So I was
Oh, I
playing,
remember.
yeah, I was playing superhero for a little while, but that's going to be another story. So
Oh my God.
I managed to get $100 for a refrigerator that he was looking at online, and so I went ahead and bought that with my money. He sent a friend who his friend, that trip is a story too. His friend is really crazy, but it took us maybe 8 hours, but we were able to eventually get to that town and get the fridge, come back. I lifted it upstairs and stuff, and there we go. You know, so
Yeah.
about 2 months later, it's move-in day for me, and this place was really disgusting. Like it smelt horrible in the apartment. It smelt like the must of a boys' locker room when everyone just came back from football and basketball and shit. But it smells like that
Mhm.
musk has sat in that room for an entire 2 weeks. Like
What the
the
heck?
windows were never opened, and the musk and the stink just sat there for the whole 2 months. Because he did tell me, he was like, "Oh, you know, I've been fucking a lot of bitches and shit," but it was really bad, and it was the smell of that, right? Of all
Mhm.
the sex. It was the smell. The entire floor was covered with clothes and trash. You could barely see the
What
floor.
the?
And then, you know, he never cleaned his air mattress, which he didn't know you could clean. He doesn't know you're supposed to like you just wet a rag with warm water and wipe it down. That's all you have to do. So, the mattress stinks. He has 2 months worth of laundry covering the entire floor. And not only the whole floor of the living room, but it also made a mountain of clothes in the little ass hallway going to the bathroom, to the point where you have to push the clothes out of the way of the door almost. And in the walk-in closet, he had another mountain of clothes that were 4 feet tall.
What the heck?
He had a fuck ton of dirty clothes. 4 feet is about 120 centimeters, by the way. So it was ridiculous, right?
Mhm.
Just with the clothes by itself, and all of that shit sitting there. Then he had like towels all over the bathroom floor, and they were so he hadn't like left them there. I guess he spilled water or whatever the hell. At the
Mhm.
time, there was no shower curtain, right? So because there's no shower curtain, the water would flood the whole bathroom, and he would put down all of his towels and shit because he had like 5 of them, so he still had like two clean ones hanging on the rack. Those three towels were sitting there for so long that they smelt like mold, and they had become stiff. Like they almost couldn't even change shape anymore. They were
What the?
crusty. 2 months of
That's
sitting
just.
there in that water.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And then the kitchen, right? It was cold, so
Mhm.
you know, obviously you have the ghetto way of like, okay, opening the oven and letting it heat up and shit. But he hadn't been home for a couple of days when I moved in, so the oven was just kind of sitting open. There was a couple of bugs starting to enter the apartment and shit, and he had just food stains all over the counter, you know, all over the walls somehow. He had never taken out the trash in the kitchen to the point where like the trash was even overflowing. He had never swept the apartment even though he had a big ass broom. It was awful, and because I had just moved and I didn't have any money yet, I had to sleep on that fucking floor.
Oh,
It was bad, bro. It was really bad. So, and then, you know, even less space once I moved my stuff in there. So the floor was awful. But
mhm.
the next day, I end up cleaning it up. Everything by myself. I spent the entire day cleaning. Oh, and then the fridge. The fridge was empty, right? When because I opened it up, I'm okay. Let's see what he has. He's been living here for 2 months. There should be some kind of groceries. Nah. He's been going to his girlfriend's house and like bumming off of her, or like when he is at home, he'll just eat out instead of going to buy like actual food. So the only thing in the fridge was a bag of ham, and it looked like about 5 pounds of ham because it was a really big bag, and it had sat there so long that there was no more pink. All the meat had turned completely gray and black, and it there was like slime, like sludge. It was almost physical, like the texture of jello. It's not watery anymore. It had become full on gelatin level mold in that bag.
What the?
And it was also so bad, and he had also never cleaned that fridge in those 2 months. So more sludge and goo and all that gross orange shit that your refrigerator piles up, it kind of looks like grease. All of that
Mhm.
covered the entire walls of the fridge and the whole floor of the inside of the fridge. It any food that you put in there would go bad in like 2 days basically and become inedible completely. Like you anything you eat out of that fridge, you would fucking get poisoned. It was disgusting. So once I moved, and I had to pay 700 because he was late. He was behind on half of the more than half of the rent because it's only 13, right? So I pay 700 when I move in, and then I also buy my keys and shit.
Uh-huh.
And I spend the entire day cleaning that disgusting fucking filth by hand,
Bruh,
no
I
gloves,
don't
no
know.
nothing. So I organized all of my shit. You know, I moved all of his shit into a pile too. I
Mhm.
scooted his fucking disgusting ass mattress out the way, and I swept everything because he didn't sweep underneath the air mattress either. You know, you get all that dust there and lint and shit. So I swept the entire
Yeah.
apartment, and then I cleaned all the counters and shit. And he was like, "Oh, you know, I'm gonna come help you clean too because I'm coming back today. It's not fair that you do all the cleaning." I'm like, "All right, thank you." He shows up. All he
Mhm.
does is move his clothes out the way, and then he does nothing, and then he leaves.
That's just fuck.
Didn't clean a single fucking thing. So I finished the sweeping. I put all of his shit in like a corner, which it's
Mhm.
ridiculous. Like I think it would easily be 7 loads minimum. Minimum.
God damn.
Easily 7 loads. And I think that's still if you make some of them huge loads too. So I moved all that shit into one corner of the room. I aired it out all night. So I basically was freezing that night, but it got the stink out. And then I scrubbed the whole fucking refrigerator and threw out that food, threw out the trash. It was finally livable. And then over time, eventually, you know, obviously this is at the same time that the quarantine happened, but I was able to find work pretty fast. And
Yeah.
with my money and with my tax refund that I had saved for this, I was able to really set the place up. So um, I had I had put up my own towels in there. You know, I had put this little rack for the shower head so that we could put our soap and stuff eventually because we were just keeping it in the corners, and even that was disgusting because like the sink and the shower was full of hair from when he shaves. And he never cleans it. He just shaves, leaves all his hair there, and then leaves for like 3 days. So I was left to clean that shit too.
Wow.
I set up the whole bathroom with like a trash can, the plunger, the scrub to clean the toilet, fucking toothpaste, rinse, A bunch of shit like in the little cabinet for other cleaning supplies. I brought laundry supplies. I I had a whole setup. He had no forks, spoons, or any of that, so I brought all of that. I had like
That
maybe
sounds.
8 plates. I had a whole professional kitchen lineup worth of pots and pans and shit, and fucking all the silverware. It was really fancy. I had a new knife set. It was awesome. It was about to get fucking lit. I bought a bunch of seasonings. That shit was beautiful, honestly. Like I wish I'd taken video of it. I wanted to, but I didn't want to take video of it while it was like all gross and stuff, you know. Otherwise I would have
Yeah.
been posting. And then on top of that, I brought a microwave and a second mini fridge just for all of our drinks. So I hooked that place the
Oh
fuck up.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I hooked it
Bro,
all the way the fuck up, bro.
sounds like that was your place and you moved in.
No, exactly, exactly. Because he had nothing but a TV and an air mattress, and then you
What
know
the fuck?
he bought the Wi-Fi too. Okay, cool. But then that month I had to pay the Wi-Fi because he had no fucking money. Which I was like, where does your money go? You were an engineer making $20 an hour, and then you left that job to go make $30 an hour. How the fuck do you never have money? You don't buy any fucking like food and shit or groceries. You didn't set this place up with any furniture. Where the fuck is your money going, bro? Like all of his money goes to weed and fucking drinking and shit, and then going to his girl's house in fucking Long Beach. So
Um,
this dude was gross as fuck. He was broke as fuck. He wasn't applying to jobs, and he was asking. He was like, "Hey, could you get me into your job?" And I was honest. I said, like, "Yeah, I can't really do that because this job is meant for only 3 people, and they hired 13 of us. They're really not taking any more. But
then,
here's like 3 places that you could apply for that would take you with your skill set as an engineer, with your engineering degree." He didn't fucking apply. He didn't do shit. So it
wow.
was like, okay, cool, you know. And we did get that whole month of groceries, thanks to him with the EBT card. He was like, hey, you know, I like set up my girl
Mhm.
with groceries and shit, and I'm like really on a budget, so your limit is 60. But I at that point, even with the very little money I had, I was cooking for the both of us because he can't cook worth a shit, and he really liked it. So he was like, "Hey, you know, you're doing a good job. You obviously know what you're doing with food." I'm like, "It's not that fucking hard. All I've done was make you chow mein." But so he was like, "Here, you know, here's the EBT card. $60 is the limit." I'm like, "All right, I got you." And I came back and I filled up the entire refrigerator and freezer with food. So we had enough food to stretch us out for the entire month off of only $60. And I spent exactly 59 something.
That's dope.
Yeah. So I got like I had bought hella ribs. I had bought like maybe 4 fucking whole ass ribs. That photo that I sent you. I had bought a whole bag of like 30 chicken drumsticks that I didn't even make because we didn't even need it at the end of the day. I bought a bunch of pastas and shit to make spaghetti. I bought a bunch of fucking chow mein. I bought a lot of shit, a lot of shit. Some taco meat. We had fish tacos. With the tacos were put. It was like 2 layers of tortillas with cheddar and jack cheese shredded in between, so that the taco shell is actually a quesadilla. And then
Um,
then I shredded up like cabbage and shit, some tomatoes. I bought some eggs, and I was making omelets in the morning, and I was making big ass fucking 10-inch pancakes and shit. It was fucking lit, right? So
mhm.
and I was disinfecting like every 2 days with some industry level disinfectant, the type of shit that they would only use at warehouses and stuff. Because I'm like, you know, we're not trying to catch the Rona. Eventually,
Uh-huh.
eventually, I even get like a desk, so I'm doing the streams regularly and shit. It was awesome. I even had a speaker that we would use sometimes. I had my own little drawer. Eventually, he gets a table, and then he gets a couch, which I helped bring up there. Now, the thing about this dude is huge fucking ego. He likes to talk shit. So
Uh-huh.
when he starts inviting people over and they're like, "Hey, it's finally looking like a home," never gives me any credit, even though 90% of the stuff in that apartment was mine. And like even when I moved in, you know, he sees that I'm hanging my clothes in the walk-in closet, and he's like, "Oh, this was supposed to be my closet, but since you already have shit up here, I guess." And I didn't say anything, but I'm like, First of all, you
Yeah.
literally have a big ass fucking chest of clothes, and on top of having a whole chest worth of clothes, you have a 4 foot mountain of dirty laundry that's been here for 2 months, and you already have clothes in your other small closet and you only have like 3 jackets hanging in there. If you have clothes you need to fucking hang, fill up that goddamn closet instead of trying to take up this whole space. I have 2 whole storage containers worth of clothes that I need to put, and you can't reach this top shelf. This is my fucking closet. I need the space. You don't. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how selfish can you be? And then to not give me any credit for setting up the whole fucking apartment. I had cookware. You had no plates or forks before I came here, my guy. You were just eating fucking Chinese food and bumming off of bitches for the whole time that you were staying here. You couldn't even get your ass off that couch to go to the grocery store your fucking self because you admitted you had no idea what the fuck you were doing. All you do with your EBT is buy chips and soda and shit.
Yeah.
So it kind of pissed me off. And then with the couch too, we have to go up to the 4th floor, and this couch, he didn't even bother measuring it. So it's too big to even fit through the fucking door, and the couch has to be like, it felt like 100 pounds, bro. I literally, and I'm way stronger than him, so I'm obviously doing most of the lifting. I hurt my back. I pulled my fucking back out lifting that couch up. And then every time he has a guest, oh, getting it up was no problem. The only hard part was trying to fit it through the door, but I got it. I came up with the idea. You know how couches have those little legs and shit? They're like really hard.
Yeah.
You can unscrew it. And I was like, bro, you have a screwdriver and an electric drill in your closet in your bin. Pop these open and then we can maybe fit it in there. And it worked. That's how we fucking did it. I got no credit. And I got physically hurt, and he has the fucking balls to like, oh, nah, it was all easy because I did the fucking work. Because I came up with the goddamn idea. You were literally trying to break the whole door frame, and I'm not about to pay $800 goddamn dollars to fix that if we break that fucking wall. So he was kind of a dick, but it was like, whatever, it was shit that you could let go. Yeah, no, well, because it was shit that you could let go, like, whatever, There's no need for me to be prideful and shit, too. Eventually, time passes, and I was really being the homie, bro. Like, he was cheating on his girl left and right, and when I finally met her, I wasn't saying shit. I was fucking polite to everybody, and I didn't, and I was helping out, too, because he had this one chick who was just a friend, they weren't fucking or nothing. But bitches that he kept bringing over kept trying to set him up. So they would leave bobby pins all over the apartment. They would leave beads and hair ties. One bitch, and he didn't even notice this, one bitch left her panties on the fucking floor in the restroom. And that same day, she knew that his girlfriend was coming over. And I caught that shit.
In LA, they really do it for the gang. Do it like it ain't a thing. Kill your mother, kill your brother for the gang. The city do it for the gang.